What's going on, Illumineers? Welcome back to episode 8 of the Freedom Gaming Podcast. Hope you guys are all having a great night or evening or morning whenever you guys are watching us.
Hmm.
Little different podcast for us today as it is our first one with a couple special guests. So, per usual, I am John, your host, driving the bus today. To my left, though, first timer, we have Dylan. Dylan, how we doing tonight?
Doing great. Yeah, super excited to be here.
Yeah, definitely glad to have you. Next up, we have usual guest, obviously, Mike. Mike, how we doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Doing really good. Been a little busy the last week. Was
Have,
fortunate enough
yep.
to have a new addition to the family. So I'm on team no sleep right now, but it's been great.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, congratulations to Mike on the birth of his second child, a beautiful baby girl. Um, and then last and certainly not least, we have our second guest of the pod today, and that is going to be Skinner. Skinner, how we doing tonight?
Doing super great. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here, and hope everybody's doing well as well.
We are more than happy to have you. Um, Obviously, after you commentated the SCG tournament, which we'll get into in a little bit. But first off, a couple of housekeeping things to do. So, in regards to our giveaway, we are going to actually release that information tomorrow. We're going to do just a quick, 1 minute video, spin the wheel, and see what happens. So, good luck to everyone that is currently subscribed. We went over 150 subscribers. I think it's just 155 somewhere around there. So anyone, it's good. We're just gonna pull everyone. Whether we're not gonna be a hard stop at 150. So anyone that is currently subscribed by the time I spin it tomorrow morning at 10, 11 o'clock, whatever it may be. So definitely be on the lookout for that if you are interested in winning that mirror bell. And then another more exciting announcement for us as a team is for those of you that have heard of the Illuminators Champions League. It is a team league that is going on with some of the top teams in Lorcana. We had Team Labyrinth played already, the Forbidden Mountain team. I think Ohana played recently.
Yep.
Luxury
A couple weeks
Gaming.
ago.
Yeah, there've been a lot of very good high quality teams, and our team has been luckily enough to be picked to be to compete in it and to compete in a show match, which will be this Friday. We are playing against a team that we know very well in the Illuminati, another team from South Florida. So pretty funny that we get put into
Yeah.
this big league, with all these other teams, and who do we get matched up with? Our local rivals. So
The people you play at locals every week.
exactly right. Yeah, like just running it back every week. So super excited about that. Good luck to Stefan and the crew. We all look forward to a great match and hope we put on a good show on Friday. So anyone interested in tuning into that doesn't know about it, it's going to be on Wonderland's Twitch, I believe it is. I think it's just twitch.tv
Yep. Yep.
slash Wonderland. That's not with a W, that's with two V's. So VV Underland. So look out for that. So, small bit of news we finally got a little bit of information about Continentals, mainly
hmm
the EU Continentals. And the main
Yeah.
thing is going to be the structure and the prizing. So, the structure is finally revealed seven Swiss rounds, 2 game matches, cutting to a top 16. Obviously, the LCQ um, is going to be the 32 man brackets, getting the total up to 96. Go to top 16, and then the cool thing that I thought is that it's best of 3 until the finals, which is then it's going to be best of 5. So before we get to prizing and such, I just want to hear some of your guys' thoughts. Skinner, as first time here, I want to hear from you first. So what do you think about the structure?
I think it's cool. I mean, 16. When you think about it in the large scope, I think one of our friends mentioned it. With all the thousands of people that compete in these challenges to qualify for these events, having 16 people only make it to Worlds uh, is pretty crazy.
Oh yeah,
But I think that the structure looks good. I think that best of 5 is going to be interesting. I think that it'll really put the decks to the test. I know best of threes are pretty fair, but when you get to see them play out a couple more games, I think it's always a treat for sure. Especially when you're at that caliber and that level of play. I think it'll be cool to see the higher rounds and the higher amount of games. So I'm excited to see it all. I think it's going to run well. These events always seem to run really well. So um, yeah, I'm excited to see how it turns out.
oh yeah, for sure. Dylan, anything you'd like to add?
No, I definitely agree with what Skinner said. I think best of three is definitely personally my preferred
Mm-hmm.
tournament format.
Yep.
It's just it feels much better to play. and I do like the best of 5 in the top cut. With a game like Lorcana, it takes the variance out a bit, which is nice because the game is
For
pretty
sure.
high variance.
Yeah.
So and yeah, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good structure. I think we're gonna see a lot of really awesome matches in both continental tops.
Yeah, I do kind of wish they maybe extended like the best of 5 a little bit. Maybe instead of just doing the finals, like you maybe do it like I think top 8, because at that point, like the top 8 is like everyone gets invited a little bit at that point. So like you're gonna get like a lot of high level matches. Like all those people are going to be playing at Worlds, as opposed to like that first round is like best of 3 to get into it, or maybe just do it all in best of 5. Mike, any closing thoughts on structure?
No, I don't know. I thought it was 2 round. Is it seven rounds Swiss and 2 round?
Yeah, 7 round Swiss, best of 2, and then top cut is best of 3 until the finals.
Gotcha.
Where the finals is best of 5 only.
Yeah, I think that's weird. I'm not a 2 round gamer. Especially with the LCQ being full best of 3, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why are you playing a full tournament best of 3, and then the next day you're gonna do 2 round format? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to give it. They're giving it the paces. They're running it through. Give it a year. But I'm kind of already over it. Like you mentioned, like Dylan mentioned, it's a high variance game. I like the people that really have put the work in and really to fine tune their deck, to be able to show that and express their skill. And I don't think 2 round format always allows that. I do think that best of 3 or even best of 5, which would be awesome, really does the better player wins a high percentage of the time. So, but I mean, outside of that, like, I mean, I know they have to do things for time but if you're at that level, like, that's kind of the other thing, because I know that was their big thing. Oh, we have to do 2 round format because for casual people, it helps to keep the time low. You don't have any casuals that have qualified for this, right? So it's just a weird thing to me.
Yeah, definitely. Especially it's also weird too, and like you were saying, like with going best of 3, then to have to play best of 2 for those that qualify, like that kind of changes your deck choice in a little bit. Like maybe you take something that is a little different, like you can play longer games with, or something along those lines, like something like super control-y, win one game in 50 minutes and then just call it a day, or something that is little more greedy, as opposed to then in best of 2 you're like, well, might as well play aggro or green steel or something simple that is going to be very very good in best of 2. So it'll be interesting to see like what happens in for the LCQ players, like if they do actually change their deck list or they just rock with what they went with. And then another cool thing was the prizing. I felt that they announced too. So for those of you that don't know the prizing, it's going to be everyone that qualifies is going to be getting the foil extended art ball and Baymax.
Invited to the ball.
Yep, the ball. Yep, the sleeves. Or invited to the ball and then the Baymax sleeves. So that's pretty cool. I mean, like you think like just like thematically, like the invited to the ball, like you're invited to the Continentals. I thought that was pretty cool. Everyone that gets top 32 will get the extended alt art Elsa's Ice Palace. So it looks really cool. That's about all I got for it. Top 16.
No comment.
Yep. Top 16 gets Cusco. Cusco Temperamental Emperor and the Baymax, which is really cool. It's one of my favorite cards in the set. Plus 4 boxes. It's a playmat, sorry. And then plus 4 boxes of the Azurite Sea. Top 8 gets the Baymax card, same thing as the sleeves and the playmat, as well as the World's Invite. Top 4 gets the serialized Mickey. And then for winning, you get a full set of Azurite Sea. And then for the winner, you get 4 times the full set. So I guess like a master set of Azurite Sea. A master set of everything from Azurite Sea. So all the enchanteds and everything, plus a cool trophy. I'm sure the trophy's going to look fantastic. So all the art of everything looks really cool. I would love to find my way to get one of those playmats. I don't think my pockets are that deep, unfortunately. So
you and me both.
No, I love the extended art stuff and like all the alt arts. So that's gonna be super cool.
I just hate how unplayable so many of them are.
Yeah,
I mean, I get the invited to the ball. Like it's a cool thing, but like none of those cards are playable. I mean, Baymax maybe fringe, I would say. There may be a deck that figures out where he's really playable.
Yeah.
But the other ones are not compared to a normal DLC. Like almost every promo is playable.
Oh yeah.
As somebody who played a lot of green in set 1, I mean, I'm happy that there's a promo.
Yeah.
It's cool. Like I know he's not playable anymore or whatever, but he was like a pretty big part of the metagame and in the game's inception.
Yep.
So I think it's like a cool tribute. Like, yeah, like obviously the card's not relevant at the moment, but he has a lot of fans. Cusco, a lot of people like Cusco. Emperor's New Groove is like, pretty popular. So I think it's cool. It's unfortunate that most of them are not playable, like you said. Invited to the ball, cool concept, but I mean, could have been different. The Queen's Palace for me is like, that's a pass.
Completely unplayable.
Yeah, it's a pass. I don't know. We could have been. That could have been so many other things. Is all I could think about.
Could have just been Elsa. Imagine if they made that in Elsa, bro.
Yeah.
Oof. That would have been
like the 5-cost one.
That would have been
Forget the 8-cost one. Give us the 5-cost one.
Oh man, that would have been.
And then the Baymax is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a big Hero 6 guy, and like John said, I would love to get my hands on a playmat. Whether or not that's ever going to be in my budget, I don't know. But yeah, that's definitely my favorite of all the promos is the Baymax.
Yeah, same. So good luck to everyone going to EU Continentals. If you do find yourself in the main event, whether it may be through LCQ or you've already qualified, I hope you all go all the way to the finals and you get all your full set of everything and your super cool promos.
Yeah.
Because like I said, like if nothing else, they look fantastic, but like as me and Skinner we definitely like the Baymax for sure. And if you want to sell the mat for a reasonable price, send me a tweet. Last small topic I guess we can talk about before we get to Dylan and Tinder with the SCG is going to be the EU versus NA Cross-Continental Challenge. So for those of you that don't know or haven't been really following along, Pavel, the creator of Pixelborn, rest in peace, has been, he started there was like a whole voting thing.
Pavel's alive.
Yeah, I know that the way that came out sounded like, wait a second.
Rest in peace, Pixelborn. Yeah, Pavel's still hanging in there. Yeah, rest in peace, Pixelborn in its original state.
Don't scare nobody.
All right.
Breaking news here.
Scared me there for a second.
Pavel has been gracious enough to start a competition with a 8. It was a voting competition, but it's like still like pretty top players from 8 from NA, 8 from EU, and they're just running an event right now. And right now, unfortunately, EU is kind of beating the piss out of us, for lack of a better word term. Which NA just got their first wins, which was Sailor, as he beat Earlmeister in a red-blue versus yellow-purple mid-range matchup.
Yellow-purple Mufasa.
Yeah, Mufasa, yep. It was a very interesting matchup, to say the least. Any thoughts, any matches so far that you guys have liked? We'll start with Dylan this time.
Yeah, I've gotten to watch all of them besides the Zach Bivens matchup. Unfortunately, I missed that one, but I can go watch a VOD, so that's awesome. I've seen a lot of close matches, so that's just in itself amazing. It's always fun to watch, like the top Lorcana players go head to head and kind of. And another cool thing is that we're getting to see their hand as they play.
Yep.
Which is really really awesome, because that's like sometimes at the challenges you don't always get the hand cam, so it's really cool to be able to see what these players are thinking and like how they do their decision making. The matches themselves, they've all kind of gone the way I'd expect them to for the most part. Again, really close matches where obviously there's been a couple misplays that may or may not have decided the games, but yeah, it's been awesome to watch. I think this is just like a great thing for the community and for the competitive side of the Lorcana. It's cool that we're able to watch these competitive games outside of like a challenge or something like that. So yeah, sure. I'm a big fan. I hope this is something that continues in the future.
Oh yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, hopefully maybe we can get see like some more like expanded stuff. I know like me and Mike put our names in, and we definitely were not going to get enough votes.
Wasn't even close.
Even close. Yeah. I think we finished with like maybe like 20 each, and it was like that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we was like, well, we have 20 friends, that's for sure. Mike, any thoughts on the matches so far that you've seen?
Yeah, I thought I've actually watched all of them so far. They've been really good, and like Dylan mentioned, it's awesome to see their hands and their thought processes. I do think the downside of that is we have full information, so we know like when they're really misplaying.
Yep.
Because you're like, well, he has this, so it's good. I specifically the Karsten and DeCandio matchup was insane.
Yep.
I haven't seen it yet. No spoilers. I mean, I know he wins, but I know that Karsten beats him.
The games are really good. Like their thought processes. I mean, they took long times on their turns, rightfully so. Just yeah, it was a really game of inches. And even Dale and Spessie's game I thought was super, super close too.
In a bad matchup
Yeah,
too.
and yeah, but yeah, it's super enjoyable. I wish we had more like this to see this high level gameplay. I mean, we used to be able to just throw on Pixelboard and watch high level gameplay pretty regularly. So there's not really an avenue for that right now, and he's Pavel's kind of just made this happen. So and to have it all casted too has been awesome.
Oh yeah,
very
definitely. Skinner, any thoughts?
Yeah, a lot of thoughts. I think it's a really awesome thing that he's doing. Like everybody's kind of shared that sentiment. I think that we need more content like this in general. As far as the matches themselves, I am missing a couple. I was supposed to actually volunteer to cast some of these, but they happened during my work schedule. So I actually, because of that, haven't seen them all. Like today, I missed the Candio versus Karsten, and I'm super excited to go back and watch it. I just haven't got the opportunity quite yet. I think my favorite so far, and I may be biased because I did play a lot of green purple last format, is the Artifacts match. I thought that was an insane sets that they played against Zan, which is needs no introduction, obviously. Playing Green Steel, which is like the boogeyman of the last format. So just like a crazy story. Like it was like a movie, to be honest. Watching them play that and. I thought it was just really well played. And yeah, like you said, I love that you can see their hands. I think that adds a lot, not only for teaching kind of what's going on, but also for people that are like trying to figure out what the best line is and all that. So just really, really cool. I think it's unfortunate that we're getting blasted, but we were talking about we're the Avengers. Like we're not even the Justice League. We're like the Suicide Squad or something. I don't know. We're not up there as I thought we would. But I'm just happy that all the matches have been really fun to watch. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest that they have. Because now it's like now the winners go on to play again, right, or something.
How
does it work?
I actually really don't even know like what the format is. Like it. I feel like
yeah,
it,
like
I thought it was done after.
No, it says round 1 is what it says.
Yeah, so it might just be single
So I think
elim,
like all the
honestly.
winners of this round, I don't know how that works.
But then it's not EU versus NA anymore, so they have to almost
you're
do
right.
like
You're
a
right.
Swiss,
I guess that would be
like a
I don't
round
know.
robin kind of thing. Oh man, we should. Yeah, that could be really interesting. If this only round one,
Yeah.
I'm still
I don't
feeling
know.
good.
I could be wrong. I thought I had seen somewhere that it was like the first round of something.
Yeah.
I think check the Twitter later when you have a chance. I think Pavel tweeted it, and I'm pretty sure it said round 1, but I have no idea how the format's working, to be honest. I don't
Yeah,
know. I thought it was single elim, but not sure.
Yeah, it honestly could be like it is definitely round 1. I know he posted that somewhere. I just don't really know how he. I just don't know what's happening after this. Like if it's single elim, if it's going to go into more like a double elim type thing, which most NA will be in the bottom, unfortunately. But we do have some more hope with the last 3 matches. As last 3 matches is No I'm Not, the RP Master against Buena Sera. I'm not really too familiar with them, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they bring to the table. Lamb Chops against Kawa. Lamb Chops obviously popular with his Sapphire Steel list, and then Kawa from Podcana. And then lastly is RMB from Team Labyrinth, again another pioneer of the Sapphire Steel list, with playing against Theo Time, which I think we were talking earlier that they won. Right, they won a DLC in Europe somewhere with I think we said with RP, right?
Yeah.
That's what we
I
remembered.
think so. I don't really remember. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was RP.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so those should be some pretty interesting matchups, and hopefully at least for NA's sake we can tie it up and go 4-4 into the second round.
We could.
We very well could. Yeah, definitely. I think probably the one I'm intrigued by the most is probably gonna be the Lamb Chops Kawa matchup, mainly just because Lamb Chops, which we know is probably gonna be Sapphire Steel, like he has like interesting like cottage lists, and then Kawa could literally bring. I don't know what he normally plays.
Yellow green discard.
Yeah,
He just switched
plays a
though. He's been
discard
playing. I forgot what he said it on the podcast episode.
Okay.
He said that he switched to something else, but apparently, according to those guys, he's like one of those like change it the night before and just show up with some rogue deck.
Yeah.
He's that guy in the group. Everybody has that. I'm probably that guy in my group.
I was gonna say that sounds familiar.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yep.
him and I were the same in that way, but
Nice.
but that's what I think. I think he switched it, but maybe
Yeah.
not.
Gotcha. But again, solid players, so he must be confident in something. So definitely looking forward to those matchups. I'll definitely catch them on the VODs. If you can't watch them live, I unfortunately have to watch a lot of the VODs just with my schedule as well. So, so that is the EU versus NA Cross Continental Challenge. So last topic, which we will spend the bulk of our time with today, is going to be about the SSG Azerite Sea Quadruple Case Tournament. This did start as a double case tournament. But then when Skinner, you can correct me if I'm wrong. When they hit 60, I think he doubled it, right? Something along those lines.
60 or 70, I believe. I forget what it was. No, because we had
We
70
get 70.
final. So
Yep.
I think it was about this. Yeah, I think 60 was the number that he hit. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so finished with 71 players. Obviously, it was a free tournament, which was super awesome to see from the SSG crew. So if you're in South Florida and you're looking to get into Lorcana, play more tournaments, definitely look out for Southside Gaming in Margate. Skinner, you were lucky enough to cast most of it. How did you feel about the event, or tell us about some things that you saw? Anything you want to touch on before we talk to Dylan about how he just absolutely just railroaded the event?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to be a little more transparent. That was my second time at SSG. I don't work for SSG or anything. I know a lot of people were like, I think Dylan thought at one point I worked for SSG. I don't work for SSG. I think they're amazing people, and let me tell you, it was a pleasure to get to not only be a part of the tournament, but cast it. You know, when that's something that they're trying to grow there. I think it was a tremendous opportunity, so I really appreciate them for letting me do that. And then as far as just the way they take care of their community, it's like no other. I've been playing cards since I was in middle school. I've been to a lot of shops. I've seen many tournaments. I've been to traveled for events. SSG takes care of their people, and I love that. And I was really surprised to see not only the turnout. I mean, I knew there people would come because it was a free event. I mean, who wouldn't come? But like seeing people like come down from Orlando and Tampa and those areas, and I was really happy for the store to see that kind of turnout. And truthfully, it's just the beginning. I mean, based on conversations that have been had, they seem really ambitious and they really want to make this a great thing and a great place to play. And people are always going to gravitate wherever they're taken care of, right?
Yep.
So, I think that they have a bright future, and it was a pleasure to be part of their event. I would have loved to play it. I am competitive, but I thought it was a really cool opportunity, and I'm sure in the future I'll get to switch with somebody and play it. But it was definitely quite the honor to get to do the first one and commentate it. So it was a pleasure.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely crushed it. You and Gabe, and then I know Brian, who can't join us tonight. He got in there for I think one of the rounds because I know the original pairing was supposed to be. So you guys, you and Mike were supposed to
somebody,
do it, but someone just had to go have a baby at 5 o'clock in the morning.
So funny. Can I tell a funny story real quick? I'm sorry, I know I just talked, but so we knew this ahead of time, guys. Okay, so we knew Mikey's wife is pregnant. It's getting real close. This may or may not happen, right? And we're like, oh, it'll be whatever. So we get a text from Mikey that morning, right? I'm getting ready to get there, and all of us, I get there because Mikey said let's be there at 9. I'm like, all right. So I get there at 9. Mikey's not there. I'm like, oh, he's running behind. And suddenly on Discord, I'm standing next to Stefan, and I look at the phone, and I'm like, Mikey says he just dropped his wife off at the airport or at the hospital, and he's on his way. I was like, and Stefan's like, that is not gonna go well. So sure enough, a little bit later, Mikey hey guys, I won't be there. My baby's being born. So I'm happy to hear that you did not show up. Thank you for being there for your daughter. And, I just thought it was hilarious that you were so dedicated that you were like, I'm just gonna drop my wife off while she's giving birth, and I'll be there in a minute.
No, it was. I have to at least. So those of you that have had children, it can be a process where you're going into the hospital to get checked a couple of times, and she had a couple of days before, and it was, I don't want to say false alarm because things are happening, but it just wasn't time yet. So I thought it could be that again, and come to find out, like, I was literally, the hospital is south of my house. I'm passing my house, getting ready to head towards Southside Gaming, and she's like, "Oh no, it's happening." And I was like, "I'm not coming, guys. I'm out." It's like can't be there. But yeah,
no, nice enough to hang out in the chat after, so we appreciate that.
Yeah. And I have to give credit to my wife on that. She really wanted me to be able to do that because she knew how excited I was about it. To be able to share the commentator's booth with you. And really get to show off. And SSG, I think you guys talked a lot about what they did to run that event. And I'm not taking anything away from that at all. And I know they may be the enemy for this week until Friday, but dude, Stefan killed it, man. You want to talk about like the man behind the curtain just doing so many things. The guy went I want to say he went to SSG 6 or 7 times before the event happened just to make sure things were all set up. That's the kind of people that are in this community that are really just trying to put our best foot forward and really cares about the people. And it's not just about super, super competitive people. It's more so we want to show what we have to offer for every caliber of player, right? Someone that's just starting the game, someone that's been playing for years, new to TCGs in general, whatever it might be. So yeah, I want to at least give him a shout out because he really did kill it, and it was an awesome event. So I just had to get in the chat to be a little bit a part of it.
For sure. And like when I think about it now, like all the card games I've played, like when do you know of a community that like usually if a stream happens or something, it's the store, right? Like the store has a camera set up or whatever it may be, and they want us to do their socials. But who do you know? Like when was the last time you were in a community where the members were like, "Hey, I'm gonna bring all my gear. We're gonna run the show. You know, we're gonna do this. We're gonna put commentators for you guys." That's unheard of, and I think it's awesome that this is happening in our community. And absolutely, definitely, Stefan is we could not be here without him. So yeah, thank you, Stefan, for all you put, all the work you put in, and trust me, it's only up from here. It's gonna be a bright future for all of us. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely looking forward to the future SSG events, and definitely it's ones that I might be able to come down to. I may not be able to make the next one, but there is one that I have my eye on coming up. So you guys will see me soon in South Florida for sure.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Something in my eye.
So like we said, 71 player event, pretty big event. It was 7 rounds, best of 3, of course, cutting to a top 8. Where I believe, Dylan, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think you guys all split, but you still played it out, right? Did you guys split
we
pricing?
chopped top 4.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Top
That's what it was.
four, okay.
Okay. Okay. So y'all got it. Okay, got it. Cool. Okay, so they top 4, but they played
I'm
it
glad
out.
you played it out though, because we wanted you guys to play it out.
Yeah,
we wanted to see
definitely.
a winner. So
So
So we knew we had to give the people the games.
Yeah.
Streaming and everything.
Definitely. So
Well,
like we mentioned, Dylan was the winner, playing a very cool, very interesting Amethyst Steel list. So Dylan, why don't you walk us through your list, your day, how you felt, how you got to it, and how you feel about it going forward.
Yeah, for sure. So just to kind of piggyback off the SSG shout out. So this was my first time to SSG2. I'm about 45 minutes north of that area. So, we'll go down for like set champs and bigger events like that. So, but I had never been to SSG and I've only heard good things, and I do want to just shout them out. It was like a phenomenal tournament. A free tournament to be doing that kind of prizing. It wasn't just the main event. There was pods, 8-man pods that they were doing a box and an enchanted from the new set, which is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Yeah, the prizing was insane. It ran super smooth. The guys doing the stream and the commentators were phenomenal. It was just all around. It was a really great, well-run tournament. And if you've been to a lot of Lorcana tournaments, that's not always the case. So yeah, it was a long day, but it was great. I think everyone there enjoyed themselves and had a lot of fun. And like you said, I think SSG has a bright future, and that's awesome. So
I wasn't on the floor, but it seemed like the rounds were popping off pretty consistently. It wasn't a lot of downtime or anything like that.
There's a few that went to turns.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there wasn't.
There wasn't a long dull between.
No.
Melee didn't crash.
There was a little hiccup. No, there's a little hiccup at the start that kind of pushed everything like round 1 back. Right. But that had to do more with like Melee having issues.
I remember it crashed.
Than anything. So
but from the booth, I noticed that like the rounds were coming back pretty quickly. So I'm like, okay, they're pumping through the rounds, which is always good because I've been to events where like you're sitting there for 45 minutes in between a round, like what are we doing here? Like why? So and we're tired. It's been 10 hours of play. So like I'm glad that they were able to crank about and get us out of there at an efficient time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was just a really great tournament overall. So
awesome.
Just wanted to shout them out again. I'll definitely be back for any of the tournaments. So yeah, for me going into that tournament, I'm definitely one of those people. I was on the fence of what to play. This particular list was actually something that I've played in the past, and actually won a pretty big set champ. I think it was 38 players at Chaos with this list in set 4. And it was the same kind of feeling. I was going in, it was like, okay, I like this list, but it has its weaknesses, and I really don't think it's gonna do super amazing. And both those tournaments ended up being great for me. So maybe it's time to kind of look at it and be like, hey, this
show
is
some
good.
respect.
Yeah.
It's a playable deck now. The other list I was thinking about bringing to SSG was Red Blue. I think it's in a good spot right now. And I know there's definitely controversy on that deck right now, but I ended up kind of rebuilding this list that I had played in the past and just saying, hey, this is my favorite color combo for sure. Amethyst is my favorite color in the game, and I just love the steel package, what it brings to the table with the removal. And I've played a lot of different variants of it, and this is just like a really cool, unique take on the color combo that I enjoy playing. The play style of it, it's got like a mid-rangey feel. It's a very high upside. The value you get out of a lot of these cards, if you can get them, is really insane. So, I just kind of went in. I wasn't expecting. I mean, I saw the new Tinkerbell. I was like, okay, I got to try this deck again. I was like, this is a brew of mine that I love, and I'm just gonna try it. I'm not gonna take it too competitively this tournament. As the first day of the new set, so there's bound to be a ton of stuff like just out of whack. And yeah, it ended up going much better than I thought. All in all, I definitely got a little bit lucky. I think that's part of winning any big tournament.
You always have to get a little bit lucky.
Yeah. I dodged my worst matchup in Amber Steel. Didn't play a single one. Then my draws all day were pretty great. I usually had answers when I needed them. I had the pressure when I needed it. So it was a
perfect storm.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of cool decks too. Just going back and thinking through all my rounds, a lot of the new stuff was so interesting and fun for me to experience. And I know we'll talk about some of those new deck lists. But yeah, it was a great tournament. And yeah, I was still kind of shocked that I won it, but
I actually kind of have a question about I know we might get deeper into the list. I'm not sure if we will, but you obviously the core of the deck is the Blue Fairy, right? That seems to be like with the engine of the whole deck. What was your thought process when deciding like to play a deck that like the core engine of your? Not that the deck doesn't operate without her, but the core engine dies to like all the same stuff that Diablo dies to, and, if not more, which like Baby Sisu, all that kind of stuff. Like obviously it worked out for you and it played great and it went amazing, and I saw them quest for a lot of lore, a lot of games, but when you're thinking about a tournament, everybody's bringing red blue and green steel. What tells you I'm gonna run with this Blue Fairy? Like what made you make that choice, you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. Just I think part of it's just because I've played the deck quite a bit before. I know the thing about it is if they're not on Amber Steel, the reason that deck is such a problem is because they can have consecutive answers and removal. And the thing about this list is that it really, and I think one of the finals games you even see it happen with Hector, where I had like a Blue Fairy down and then the new 1/3 Tinkerbell, and he kind of has to make a decision there of what to brawl. Like he has a brawl. Okay, right. What do I get rid of here? It doesn't really matter because I'm gonna get a lot of value whether I shift the tank or I keep the Blue Fairy and I play a Floodborn.
Sure.
The deck just presents a lot of problems for decks that can't keep it under control. And yet the Blue Fairy, I'm like, obviously a lot of people are trying the deck out and stuff, and they're like, Blue Fairy kind of dies to a lot of the same stuff as Diablo does, and it's like, yeah, true. And a lot of people stick to Diablos for quite a while. And,
Yep.
Yeah, so it definitely can, underperform, but it can definitely overperform a ton. And I think it's kind of a little bit of a higher risk, higher reward type of deck. But it also it's definitely not like Mikey was saying before the podcast. He plays purple. It's like not everyone's just gonna be able to pick it up and play it the way that you need to play it sometimes in order to win. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but
you should.
Yeah, like
there's everything.
There's a lot of different lines, and a lot of people are picking up the deck, and I've seen some people try playing with it, and they're altering the list a little bit to add stuff that might be a little bit more tempo oriented, more challenge based stuff, and a lot of times it just doesn't really fit. This deck has, again, certain lines that it really wants to take, and there's just a lot of decision making that can go into it, and knowing the matchup that you're going up against. The mulligan is huge in this deck. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of different flavors of this deck, and it's, for me, I love it because it's not super straightforward. So yeah, and it's a ton of fun to play. I like decks like that with that kind of synergy and stuff like that, and actually getting the value out of these cards is so much fun. It's a blast.
And I see you're on Snake Jafars now. What's the
Yeah.
thought? I know I know we're doing like the Bucky thing where like we just
Yeah.
play all the Floodborns,
Yep.
but like what's up with Snake Jafar? Is he doing more than
Yeah.
just being a Floodborn, or is he earning his keep?
So to be honest, I think that card's decent just in its own right. You know, the being able to draw is fine. I think after that tournament, I think we talked about it too. You know, I those 7-drop Tinkerbells didn't really work out the way I would have liked them to.
I love the idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. With
that being said, I
the
don't-
fairy tribal and everything. Yeah, definitely was
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
The potential.
Yeah. Yeah. That being said, I don't think they're that bad in that deck. I think they can pop off, but like, you know, it's just not as consistent as you would like it to be.
Sure.
So going into that and the list that I had actually won with, just making a couple of changes, like we talked about that one rabbit was supposed to be a genie. That, you know, that's just me not having the cards on that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
That makes
and then-
sense.
Yeah. And then replacing those, I think the main reason is the curve of the Floodborn synergy. You know, it really can pay off if you can go Blue Fairy into Aladdin into Jafar, and barring you don't have like a shift line, right? Like
Right.
Yep.
there's no other Floodborns on 4,
Yeah.
unless you're unless you're shifting a tank or something. But you want to try, like, if you put down a Blue Fairy, you want to get as much value out of it as you can possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if that means curving 3, 4, 5 with Floodborns, if they don't answer it, which there's a chance they don't answer it. So
Right.
3, 4, 5 Floodborn, you're just drawing an extra. Every card's replacing itself, and then again, in one of the games with Hector, I had two fairies down. So it's just insane value. So I think the Floodborn really is the name of the game in this deck. And honestly, I think a big reason I kind of came up with this deck was back towards like the Bucky stuff, right? And I was like, this could work the same with Blue Fairy. It really can. It's not going to be as strong, but it could theoretically work the same. And so it's a similar list to that. They were running the Aladdins, they were running Jafars,
Yep.
Robin Hood, stuff like that, just to get as much value out of that engine as you can. And it's definitely kind of just like a more fair Bucky deck. But
That's how I kind of described it when we were doing it. I'm like, it's a Bucky deck with a different 2-drop. Like,
Yeah.
but it's the same concept. Again,
Yep.
we're getting value every time we play a Floodborn. We play all the good Floodborns. Aladdin, I actually think was pretty good. Like, I was watching you play with Aladdin, and I was like, okay, Aladdin, kill that ice block. I see you.
Yeah.
Like, it was doing some work, and obviously we know that it's done work in the past with Green Steel, but
Yep.
it's kind of been left aside for Benjas and other means of direct when you play it dies kind of cards. So it was cool to see a little revival of Aladdin. I saw him do some pretty good work in the matches that I watched. So
I got a couple of questions too for you on the list. So I mean, the first time I saw you play, it might have been Chaos. It might have even been Guildhall, where you were running Purple Steel and you were dusting people. And then I know, like, all through like set 5, you kind of were bouncing around. I think you played Red Purple, you played Red Blue for a little bit, and then Green Purple. And I'd asked Brian when I saw that you were rising up. I was like, "What's Dylan on? Can you just like pop in and see what he's playing?" And when he said Purple Steel, I said, "Oh, it's over. It's over." That's like the comfort pick. But so that was just the first thing I noticed. And then looking at the list, I had the question on your, but I think you kind of answered some of that. Like, underperformer obviously was the Tink. What about overperformer for you on the day?
It's hard to say because there's really not that many new cards I've added. And it's, none of the cards I'd say, like, the cards will overperform for a given game. If, like, for example, one of the first game with Hector in the finals, my beast just popped off, right? Like, and in that sense, it was.
He was playing one Medusa. Is that what we're doing now?
Yeah, that's true.
That's
what Hector's doing. That's what Hector's doing.
I saw that on the list and I was like, that is so bad against Dylan. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So
as far as the new cards, first of all,
Genie is insane.
Yeah, I was gonna say Genie, but so I just want to bring up Fire the Cannons real quick. I mentioned this to someone else, a friend of mine who was trying to kind of alter the list, and they weren't running cannons, and I'm like, to be honest, I'm never not running Fire the Cannons in any Amethyst Steel list ever again. it gives you a chance in every game against Green Steel. You basically just hard mull for it. Even if you're on the draw and they play a turn 1 Diablo, I think I won 2 or 3 games. So I went 3-0 against Green Steel throughout the tournament. And every time they had Diablo on 1, I would just fire the cannons at, and their start is just so,
or Flynn's or Cinderellas or even Baby Robin Hood. So you stop their shift line, then you shift. Yeah, the card's nuts.
So honestly, I kind of started the deck with that because I don't know if I was running cannons before in previous iterations, but I kind of started the deck there, which is why some of the other cards might be questionable. But I really like to keep the uninkable count low in this type of lifts.
Yep.
And it goes to show, like, I didn't brick once throughout the whole tournament. So I really like to keep it low, and fire the cannons just in this current meta with the Diablos and some of the other problematic cards. It's one of the best removal tools. But yeah, so that card overperformer for sure. Swords is, people don't really expect swords anymore.
It stopped getting played.
It's crazy.
It stopped getting played. It's crazy.
Yep.
And the blue steel list that was there was running it too, and you just get huge plays out of it. You know, huge board wipes. So I think swords might kind of make its way back into the meta, which is awesome. I love swords. And then so Genie was an overperform. Genie, I think, is going to be a phenomenal card. No rabbits in this list just because I cut the bounce package, but I think every purple. I have another mid-range list that I'm working on, and it's going to run Genies and rabbits. They're bo's phenomenal. Genie's just an insane card in its own right. And then the 1/3 Surfer Tank, I think, is in any kind of Amethyst Steel mid-range, it's going to be there for sure.
That's actually what I really like about your list, that I think is something that probably doesn't get talked about enough. So, all right, let's say you curve out, right? You go turn 1, Robin Hood or Fire the Cannons, turn 2, Fairy, turn 3, Tinkerbell. So, they may have that answer for your Fairy. But now their turn 3, that one answer that killed their Fairy might have only been the one thing they had, whether Brawl or, I don't know, Smash, Fire the Cannons, but it doesn't answer the Tink now. And that thing's just questing away.
Yep.
With all these evasive questers, that's really, really hard for a lot of decks to handle. So you're just getting so much value over. And then the other thing I had to comment on was you playing the Jafar now. I know you don't. Because we know your list, right? Like there. But if I'm just an opponent that's playing you without full information, and you go like Fairy into Aladdin into Jafar, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna get Jafar wheeled next turn. I'm done. I need to kill Jafar now. So that's like a whole nother line that you're mind game wise. So I love that. I think that Jafar is super sneaky. Whether you have that, you're not going to have that Jafar, but I mean, they don't need to. Yeah. So it's just it's cool.
And honestly, I've been seeing some Jafar wheel decks pop up, and I think it's becoming more and more viable. I was, interestingly enough, running Blue Fair. I was never really a big fan of Jafar wheel. I haven't played it a whole lot, but I always thought it was a little bit gimmicky for me. Just lacked the consistency. It's a big combo. But we see it doing well, at least in the first week or so. This
I got blown out by it in Atlanta. Yeah. It was all fun and games until he went from 6 to 20.
Yep. It happened to me in Atlanta too. A guy top decked wheel that actually ended my tournament because I had to 2-0 that round, and I was like, well, who cares now?
The guy had Jafar.
Who would play Jafar wheel?
I know you've played it a couple times.
He got his let it go
with
it.
I got 66 in Atlanta.
Oh, really? I did not know that. That's crazy.
That's awesome. The night before, like we were talking about before, I'm that guy. Yep. I was like, I'm gonna play Jafar Wheel. I was gonna play Red Purple that whole week.
Yep.
The day before, I was like, I'm gonna play Jafar Wheel. Yep. I think
we tested it in the room. We tested it in the room all night, or until we went to sleep at like 1:00 in the morning. He's like, all right, this is what I'm playing tomorrow. So, but yeah, Dylan, a super cool list. I love. There's so many inclusions that I love. Like obviously, like the big tank. Even though you said that she didn't really perform that well, just the option just to go like a crazy turn, like shifter and play. Quest, and then just like buff like either Surfer or the 3-drop tank or the Giant Fairy. Super cool. Even Blue Fairy too gives her an extra lore as well. The Fire the Cannons obviously has your Diablo answer, any early board removal, and then a card that I've definitely grown to like more recently. Probably the last couple sets, even though I don't really play Amethyst as much, is definitely the Bell. So I know Mike was playing it earlier on stream. No, but the Bell is
so good.
The Bell is
so good.
Such a good card. And one thing that people definitely overlook. It's like you can move, like moving the 3 counters. It's not like moving. Everyone thinks like just moving your own counters. Like no, like you can like move around, like do some weird stuff, and like move around like the opponent's damage counters as long as they end up on another opposing character. So I just want to know how like the bell worked for you, like because again, like that's a card that I truly do love. Like I even have the mat. I got the mat in Toronto.
Yeah, the bell. I've always been loving that bell. I've played her in a lot of other variations of Amethyst Steel with like Lawrence and stuff, and I think she'll work really well with the new Pluto. You know, any of those types of cards where you know you really want to be removing the damage if you can. But another big reason is she's a Floodborn, right?
Yep.
So it's just already got natural synergy. It's a 4/4 that quest for 2, which is great. It's inkable.
Solid
I think it's just all around. I have Smee in the deck too. So I think it's all around just like a good card. Again with the big Robin Hood too. It just works well as a 2 of. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I personally wouldn't go higher than 2, but I think it's a good 2 of, and it definitely in the SSG tournament it did some work. I think there was a turn where I was able against Colby. I was able to move my damage from Beast to. Or from my Smee to his beast, stop his draw,
and then you
nice.
sorted after.
Yeah, swords and cannons.
You hit the cannons, and I'm like, why would he cannon the bee? And you were like, grab your sword. I'm
that's
like,
that's kind of dirty.
I felt kind of bad. Scoop. I felt kind of bad because I could have probably just shown him the swords and he would have scooped, but it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it this way. And and that wasn't the first game where I swords someone and they scooped. I think Alex Blair when I played him on Green Purple.
Yep.
The second game I swords and he scoops.
That card
People are expecting it. Yeah,
always feels bad.
But the bell is consistent for me, especially in a deck like this with the Floodborn synergy. I think it's a good pickup for the 5-drop slot.
She creates really interesting lines. I played 2 of her in the when I won one of my set champs. I was playing green purple with 2 copies of her, and every time that she got inked sometimes, but every time that I did play her, it was like some crazy, like, oh my god, mind blowing, like, brain moving line. It was move the damage here, then use this to do that, and like the opponent is always caught off guard. They never expect it. So Bell obviously way better with steel because you have Smee and stuff, but. She's just a solid card altogether. I really like Belle.
Yep.
Yeah. So maybe we'll see her gain some more traction. I don't know.
Oh,
People seem to go back and forth on her.
Yeah, the whole moving damage mechanic in general is kind of weird. It feels like it should be good, but like Belle's like the only good enough card that has that effect. All the other cards are kind of whatever.
Yep.
But
the crazy part about it is that it gets through resist too.
Yep.
We see a decent amount of now.
With Calhoun.
Calhoun is a big one now.
Yes.
Yep. So, are there any small so like the list, like you feel pretty good about it right now? Any obviously like the big tank you said where you're still kind of on the fence about. Oh yeah, and then adding the Jafar, which we've talked about. Anything else that you feel like you want to add to the list? Or are you kind of feel, or maybe like without like changing the identity too much?
Yeah, I think honestly that those would be the main changes. I actually changed that and tested about a bit tonight, and it ran just as well. I initially my initial iteration of the deck actually had Foxes instead of the Aladdins, but I think that's also kind of a mistake. Like in my mind, Fox is an amazing card, but it just doesn't work well with the deck.
Yep.
I wouldn't really change anything. I think everything's in the amount that I wanted in. You could kind of toy around with some of the removal and stuff like that, but maybe I like having 3 to 4 Pete's. So I wouldn't go any lower than that. Some people are cutting it down to 2, but that's another card that can just win the game.
I think if you're bouncing them, maybe you could come down a little lower, but
maybe that would be the only way.
You're not a bounce package, so I think it's better to play more properly.
I played 4, and then I was like, if I'm seeing it's way too much, and then like 3 is kind of like in like a good spot, like you were saying, like just wins games. Like when I was at SCG last week, I was playing against Red Purple, and I literally went like Pete. Like stopped it. I knew I'd be prepared to hand. I was like Pete, played it again because I had no discard, and then I had I think a third. I think I saw all 3 of them like in succession, and then I had the deceiver. It's like to like rip it out of his hand. He's like I hate that. I hate this game.
God.
Yeah, so it was like Pete, and I'm over here just like Diablo. I was like Pete deceiver. He's like I scoop. It was the end of it. So yeah, it was kind of insane.
It's nutty. Yeah,
it's good.
And then some people have asked me about the new 1-drop Diablo. And that's fair, but Yeah, I think it's a great card, and it's
Mm-hmm.
probably going to be in some of my other purple steel lists.
Mhm.
But in this list specifically, I'm not running crabs. I like
Yep,
to have
that's what I was
this.
gonna say.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
gotta have
comment.
crab.
Yeah.
I like having the option of actually being able to swing it with the bog. So I'm always a big Chernobog fan. I think
I
both
had
of them
that
are better
same.
than Broom personally, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I had that same feedback when Mikey and I were playing some games. There was just so many turns where I wished that the crow did just a damage to something.
The 1/1.
It felt kind of bad. I know we're drawing a card. I get it. Like I understand why it's good. Um, but yeah, crab is definitely way better of an enabler for that card. I can see why you'd want a bog instead or
Yep.
a broom or anything like that.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. So there's a lot of cool new Amethyst cards that I just couldn't really fit in this list.
Sure.
But I'm definitely gonna. Calhoun's another one that I've seen a lot of people trying to kind of make a version of this deck with Calhoun in it.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think it's an amazing card in its own right, but I don't think it really fits in this list specifically.
Different, yeah.
Yeah, and again, I really like to keep my uninkable count pretty low. So
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think a lot of people I've seen people trying to run like the Fairy Godmother shift line, which I think could work.
Another fairy.
Yeah, I have a buddy who was like, "What should I replace these Robin Hoods with?" And the Archimedes shift line is an option. So
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
lot of
Not bad
different
idea.
ways you can go. There is a lot of Floodborns in these colors too. So and it's just awesome. People are trying it out. We'll see. We'll see if it ends up kind of becoming like a tier 2 deck in the
Sure.
meta. I don't know. I don't know if I'm super confident in it yet, but we'll see. We'll see how much people really are going to start to tech for Diablo and what people come up with.
Oh yeah.
I think we're still super early in the meta.
For
and,
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
But I think it's promising.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In some way, form. I mean, I don't
I-
know what shell, but I think purple steel will exist in some
I was just going to
capacity.
say, I think
Yeah.
Purple Steel's in a really good spot. There's like at least five different iterations of Purple Steel right now that I could see being
Oh, yeah.
strong decks. So, which is great. I think that's amazing for the game. But we'll see which one kind of lands. Comes
I
out on
agree.
top.
I'd love to see purple steel get bigger and bigger in the meta.
It's definitely going to be good as long as Diablo's a thing. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
true.
think that's any steel deck will be. But
Yep, as long as they play cannons,
we'll
right?
see.
As long as they play
Yeah,
cannons.
yeah.
That's
That's my recommendation is cannons.
You heard it here first, guys. You don't like Diablo? Don't ban it. Just play Fire the Cannons.
There you go.
Dylan
Roll
Crowley,
seven until you get
2024.
cannons. Yep.
So once again, big congrats. Obviously, like I mean, that's a pretty 8-1-1. So like that's an insane run for sure. And playing against some very high level players as well. So shout outs
Absolutely.
to Dylan. And his list, definitely, if you're going to look at, we'll have it linked as well in the comments, so you guys can definitely check it out if you'd like and test it yourself, see how much you like. So Skinner, I know there was a couple lists that you wanted to talk about that you saw. So I'll throw it over to you and let us like which list you wanted to mention that you saw, obviously, throughout the day.
Of course. Two lists in particular. I mean, I only got to watch only what was on camera. I wasn't on the floor, so I wasn't able to like walk around and catch a match or anything like that. So my focus was limited from what I saw. It was always the top table that we were watching. So I got to see pretty cool decks, and two of my favorites. Unfortunately, neither of them made to top 8, but almost for one of them. One of them was Allie's deck, which I know a couple of you guys know Allie, and she's an awesome person, and she's always usually playing, like, I think Mufasa, right? That's like her too. But she was playing this crazy, Mario Kart Candy Crush deck where she was just, it was awesome. It was really cool. She was utilizing the locations with Fix It Felix, and she was just like launching Felix into the one that destroys itself and then drawing 3, gaining 3. Really cool deck, and looked like a lot of fun, and actually was pumping some games out, I believe, until she started going in the other direction. I think she was like 3-0 or 4-0. So she was cooking with that deck, and it looked pretty cool. Like it does some pretty it's able to abuse lore pretty quickly in a way that hasn't been done before. Like you don't really need a quest. It's just like bursts a bunch of lore at you. So yeah, I think that's a deck that people need to keep an eye on, because obviously it was just day one, so it wasn't optimized. Like most people's decks weren't optimized, but I think that that there's something cool there, and I think that might be something to keep an eye on. And then the other deck that I saw was Albert, which is an old friend of mine, and I didn't even know he was still playing Lorcana. But yeah, he came through, which was very nice to see him, and he was playing a blue steel list but it was playing Baymax, the one that removes damage and you gain 2,
Mm-hmm.
and he was playing like Alice, like it was like a tempo blue steel.
Yeah.
And I really like Alice was doing a lot of work. I think that's a card that is going to
Mm-hmm.
find a home somewhere pretty soon. And giving something ward and letting it quest for an additional 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's like even Gabe and I, we were on commentary, and I'm like, oh, he quests for 3. Oh wait, he quests for 4. Like, because Alice gives that lore.
Yeah.
You know, it was pretty crazy. And just watching Baymax, like there was a crucial turn, and I went and spoke to Albert after the turn or after the round. He missed 1 lore. He had the opportunity to the opponent had a character in play with 2 power, and he had a character with 3 or more toughness, and he chose to quest with it. What he should have done is attack into it, let the 2 damage be on his character, and then play Baymax, because he ended up playing Baymax anyway, but he didn't remove any damage, right? So he ended up just gaining 1. If he had attacked and then played Baymax, he gains the 2, and he was 1 short that game to win the game, to win the series. So, but I thought the concept was really cool, which I was going to kind of talk about it, how, Dylan mentioned that there's so many ways to play Purple Steel. I feel like we're finally in a place in this game where you could play a lot of versions of every color. I think that like the colors don't have one deck anymore. Like it felt like for a while, if you're playing this and this, you're playing these cards.
Yep.
Like these are the only cards you can play. And I feel like we're finally getting to a spot where, excuse me,
You're good. You're good.
finally get to a spot where yeah, you could play a lot of different stuff. So I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, the fact that like Smee and Baymax together,
Yep.
just thinking about that, because Baymax would just heal every time he quests, and then in turn he puts another damage on, so you're gaining 2 lore every time.
Yep.
Right? So he'd be gaining 4 per turn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously they can kill your stuff, but
Kudos
that's
and
still
all
a
that
pretty
stuff.
cool.
Like anything
Yeah,
that removes
that's
damage, like anything that soaks damage, you can remove it with the Baymax. And
Yep.
It's just hard to, like you mentioned, the archetypes, right? Like for me, Blue Steel is like, okay, they're gonna ramp, they're gonna play Fishbone Quill, they're gonna do this, the whole new world. But now they can just almost play like this mid-range value game with these big bodies. So
Yep.
Reminds me of the high fives decks that I really liked in set 1, where you're just like kind of like playing heavy lore questers, not going really past 5 ink, and then just trying to like jam kind of like a mid-rangey style. It's cool. I like the deck a lot.
awesome.
I think it's a really interesting list.
Definitely, yeah, that's super cool. And obviously, we talked about how much we love Baymax, so play your Baymaxes.
That was extra points.
Yeah, exactly.
Extra
Of course,
points for
yeah,
that.
definitely. So just in closing, Dylan, we'll start with you. Any shout outs or anything? Anyone you want to say?
Well, I did want to actually just touch on real quick the deck Skinner was mentioning, the red yellow locations deck. Actually, my round 3 opponent was playing that too. Not the same person, but someone else. And I think there's something to be said for that deck. It looks really cool. I'm probably gonna build it and try it myself. It just looks like a lot of fun. Cool combo deck. And then as far as shoutouts, just shout out to SSG. Shout out to all you guys. This, you guys are awesome. All the FG guys have always been awesome every time I play with them. And yeah, this was a ton of fun. And I don't really have any like YouTube or anything, so nothing to shout out personally.
No worries. Yeah. Well,
is there a place you want, if people have questions on the deck, that you want us to send them to, like Discord or?
Discord would probably be the best.
Okay.
I'm in most of like the 20 Lore Pro Discord and stuff like that. If you kind of scroll and you can find my name. But yeah, if anyone has any questions on the deck or anything like that, or anything at all, feel free to message me. Yeah, and again, big shout out to SSG and you guys and everybody and Skinner. Everybody did a great job for the SSG tournament. So
yeah, for sure. Awesome. Yeah, well, like I said, we loved having you. You are definitely welcome anytime. So just win another big event, and then you can definitely hop back on.
do my best.
Skinner, any shout outs, anything you wanna say thanks to?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I want to give a shout out to everybody involved. It takes a village to get everybody to participate and to be a part of this. I think it's really special what we're doing. I really appreciate everybody involved, whether it's the players for showing up every week, putting in the time. Like, we all spend a lot of time together, all of us. We see each other probably more than I see my family most times. So, I think that we all dedicate a lot of our time to this. So I appreciate that from everybody. And and I just wanted to plug my channel. I am gonna I do create content on YouTube. I created a lot back in set 1, but life happened, and I'm looking forward to getting back into creating content, and really appreciate you guys having me on the show today.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. And we'll link all that.
Yep, we'll have your Twitter, your YouTube handle is first to 20, which will
Awesome.
be all in the
Yep.
comments. And again, like I said to Dylan, thank you for hopping on with us. You are definitely welcome anytime. I know we've extended the offer in the past, and I'm definitely glad you were able to hop on with us today. So for Mike, myself, and the rest of the Freedom Gaming team, hope you guys all have a great rest of your night and day. Peace.